I care most deeply about. My family, my kids, work that gives me satisfaction, having fun, not being a buzzkill.
Barack Obama calling Democrats a buzzkill, and I think most of us, one of the few times in our life that we agree with something that former Democratic President Barack Obama says. He's like, listen, and what he's saying there in this interview, he's saying Democrats get too bogged down in BS, the woke stuff and the race issues and all that, and they get too bogged down in policy. In other words, and I love this because that's what we do here on the show, right?
Get bogged down in politics?
The opposite. I mean, we simplify it and say this is what this means. Okay, so when somebody talks about gas prices as it relates to the president and how that started, this is what this means to you. What happened in Jefferson City with the special legislative session a couple of weeks ago, explaining not just the policy and the players involved, but this is what this means for you. The former president, Barack Obama, he's exactly right. And I love that because that's what we do here. Here's the stuff, and here's how it affects you. And he says, Democrats are being a buzzkill, man. You're getting too bogged down in stuff that people don't care about. Listen, the racial stuff, your political wokeness, defund the police, he says you're being a buzzkill. People don't care about that stuff. What they care about, and you heard him say there, what gives you enjoyment in life? Going to your kid's football game 45 minutes away, even if he doesn't get to play that much. You still enjoy it. Work, what gives you joy in life? And, it kind of made me open my eyes a little bit because we do. And we talk about the politics, but we talk about how these things affect you. But ultimately, you go out on the streets, you go and live your weekend, you get ready for homecoming weekend at Mizzou, whatever it is. I mean, how many hours of the day do you really sit there and think politics? Now, when you go and get gas, when you pay your heating bill, when you go and buy cans of Progressive soup at the grocery store, yeah, and I hope people do think politics. I always think, I got an acquaintance of mine, lovely family of four, northwest side of Columbia, drives to Jefferson City most days for work, and thinking about him as somebody that did vote for Biden, and we're friends, even though we disagree on a lot of things politically. That stuff doesn't matter. But I think about somebody like that trying to feed his family of four, putting gas in his car every day while he does the round trip from far northwest Columbia to Jefferson City 5 days a week every time. And I'm wondering, I hope you think about that every time you're buying gasoline, every time you're going to the grocery store and you're going shopping. That vote, it affected you. I loved what Obama said there.
Yeah, and I mean, he also mentioned, can you show up for meaningful work? And we've got so many small business owners, and to many people, their businesses, their baby, right? And you show up, and so these staffing shortages that were caused by Biden policies, can you show up, and are you stressed about the health of the business that you've built from scratch? That's what people are thinking about day to day. And again, the gas prices not only affect individuals, but they affect business owners. And that is, it's a scary thing when you've dedicated your life to showing up for meaningful work and you're stressed about it every day.
Marsh, when was the last time you found yourself agreeing with former President Barack Obama?
Okay.
Right? And remember how we hadn't come together like that. Was it 2011? We hadn't come together like that since probably 10 years prior, September the 11th, 2011. Remember, everybody, hey, this is great for the country. This is a cool thing. Last time probably that we were that together.
The one thing, too, about former President Obama, that if you look at his schedule, there's a number of articles this morning that are indicating that he is going to be going to 3 essentially battleground states, Georgia, Michigan, and Wisconsin. Obviously, for Reverend Warnock, and that's in Georgia. For Wisconsin, the Johnson race, and Michigan is an interesting race up there. It is interesting he is not, at least at this point, coming to Missouri, because he did spend a lot of time when he was in the U.S. Senate in St. Louis. And I would think if the Democrats thought this was competitive, they would have him in this state. It's not to say he won't come in for Missouri for Trudy Bush Valentine, but it's not on his schedule right now. It's not.
One of the last times I agreed with Barack Obama.
What's he doing?
Why would he do that?
He's a jackass.
He was calling Kanye West a jackass. That was one of the last times that I agreed with Yay!
He campaigned here in Columbia when I was in law school and was right
Yes,
there
he
on
did.
the right in front of between the business school and the law school.
Yes, as candidate, no question about that. But I'm a little surprised to not see him on the schedule right now to campaign for Trudy Bush Valentine. But you're absolutely right. He came here to Mizzou. To the best of my knowledge, that was a candidate right before the election. I don't believe he came to Columbia as president.
I don't think so
But he
either.
definitely came here. You're right. The place was packed at Mizzou, no doubt.
By the way, you know who the Democrat is? It's not, and I'll give you a hint. It's not Joe Biden, the Democrat, who's getting the most speaker requests to go out and campaign for them. We'll do that coming up 6:57. If you guys will remind me, I'm going to change things here. The Dem getting the most speaker request. We'll do that at 6:55 here on Wake Up Mid-Missouri. Good morning. I am Branden Rathert. There's Mr. Brian Houseworth.
It's great to see you. Good morning.
To see you.
Thank
I
you.
love Barack Obama's comments over the weekend. Democrats are a buzzkill. People get too bogged down in policy stuff. Talk about the things. Now, hopefully his party doesn't heed that advice because they're not doing it. It's the abortion. It's the wokeness. The latest thing, emojis that users on Reddit says gets people triggered. Crazy. Barack Obama saying, you get bogged down in stupid BS that doesn't affect people's lives. Get over it. There's producer Hannah.
Good morning.
Mr. Marsh, fresh off his big event Friday in Jefferson City, chamber event. What was the biggest, one or two big highlights that came out of that event Friday in Jefferson City? I did. Well, I was trying to get out of there. So, and some exciting things coming to the Missouri State Prison, not just the prison, but around that area. It's kind of exciting. I wolfed my food down. I was anxious to get out of there because I was absolutely, positively, without a doubt, the most underdressed person.
I was going to say, I saw a picture of a room full of very nicely dressed people, and then there was one Branden Rathert in a quarter zip jacket and shorts. Is that what I saw?
Uh-huh. And flip-flops.
Oh, yeah. Can't forget the flip-flops.
Come on now. Now, wait, my question is, though, did you woof the food down of the seat next to you? Because I've been at a dinner with Branden before where there was an empty seat and the servers came around and he goes, oh, yeah, someone's sitting there. They put down a plate and he ate his plate and the one next to him.
I'm looking at this picture on the Wake Up Facebook page, and there are at least 3 men in suits sitting at your table. And there you are, not only in flip-flops, you have one of your feet up on the chair, and you're playing on your phone.
So Mayor Carrie Turgeon, she gets up, she gets done speaking on stage in front of 100 business and thought leaders in Jefferson City. And when she gets done speaking, you know what she does?
She takes a selfie with you?
No, she just takes a selfie, and I'm just background.
Oh.
I just happen to be, and she...
Not paying attention.
Everyone is applauding her speech, and you're sitting there, foot up on a chair, playing on your phone.
Stephanie and I, a year and a half ago, we were at the statewide Lincoln Days event in Kansas City. Governor Mike Parsons, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, just who's who of conservative politics were there. And Stephanie and I are sitting at this table, and it was a really good meal. It was like a
steak.
Filet, steak. And they set all the food out, and we had a couple of blank spots next to us, and they come to remove it. I'm like, no. Somebody's coming here. We're waiting on a friend. Welcome into the show. And I'm Branden Rathert. Stephanie Bell is back. So glad to have you back. Everybody missed you. We are glad that you are here for 2 reasons. Number one, we just miss you. We appreciate your insight and how you simplify some of these very complicated. That's why I love it when you're here, because I can take big, complicated stuff and say, Stephanie, go ahead and look through that and then let me know what you think. And then she can explain it to us and tell us how it affects us. And the other thing, the one I'm glad you're back, you just make my job a lot easier here.
Well, I am glad to be back. I'm not glad for what is the high tomorrow, 22?
man. It's gonna,
or no, the low. Sorry, not the high, but it's
like,
gonna
whoa.
be. Sorry, but it's gonna be cold. I heard people talking about covering their mums.
Yeah, no temps overnight lows tonight, 25 degrees. Right now, it's only 37. So Barack Obama out saying, man, we gotta simplify this. Nobody's into all this policy stuff. Basically, he's criticizing Democrats. That's Barack Obama. And then Joe Biden certainly not helping himself over the weekend campaign event in California. And I don't know if you've seen the video. It, for real, creepy. He goes up to a girl who's maybe 12 years old, stands behind her. We've seen this video before. Puts his hands on her shoulders and starts talking into her ear.
Look at Dan. Now, the very important thing I told my daughter and granddaughters, no serious guys in their 30s.
No dating serious guys until your 30s. Now, let's say it's not the president of the United States, Joe Biden, who, by the way, getting ready to celebrate an 80th birthday party in the White House, is like, yeah, let's not hype up the fact that he's going to be 80 here in the next few days. You have young kids.
Mm-hmm.
If some 80-year-old dude comes up to the homecoming parade this Saturday at Mizzou, which Stephanie and I are going to be emceeing right there in downtown, if some 80-year-old dude comes up to one of your daughters behind her, puts his hands on her shoulders and starts talking into her ear, no serious dating until you're 30. What do you do as a mom?
Yeah, that's gross.
Yeah.
I would be freaked out.
Yeah, that is really... And
although I might agree with his advice, but
oh, yeah.
But the touching and the unsolicited dating advice, yeah, no.
And I do agree with that dating advice. Hannah, what are your thoughts on his dating?
Sorry. I got married before 30.
I was going to say, I will also be married before 30.
I was married twice before 30.
I think 30...
And divorced twice before 30.
30 is really like the new 20. And like I feel like in your 20s, you still don't really know who you are.
Exactly. You're still figuring stuff out. Yeah. And it's just, that's my advice, having been there, done that. Marsh, what do you think about the advice? Well, but you... yeah.
Hard to...
But that's the thing, and you're right, that image, and this is what I thought of seriously, is Stephanie's daughter this weekend, homecoming parade at Mizzou. If any 80-year-old dude comes up to any 12-year-old girl, puts hands on the shoulders and gets close and intimate, no serious dating until you're 30.
Where are my Southern Boone peeps at? Because at school, there's signs all over the place, and they say kafooty, which is like keep all hands and feet and other objects to yourself. Someone needs to just like hold up a sign to Biden, like kafooty, please.
So on the right side, you got MAGA, and on the left side, you got...
kafooty.
Coming up, Daily D.C. Rundown. Things happening in Washington, D.C.
Our two nations face an increasingly complex and dynamic threat environment, including arms trafficking, migrant smuggling, and fentanyl trafficking. And we are committed to facing these threats with our neighbor, our partner, and our friend, Mexico.
But Alejandro Mayorkas, the border is secure. What do you said the border is secure. Why all these issues now? Alejandro Mayorkas getting us into today's Daily DC Rundown with Stephanie Bell on Wake Up Mid-Missouri.
Joe Biden took every opportunity during the campaign to denounce Trump. He said his immigration policies were cruelty. But then when he gets into a little bit of trouble, you know what he does?
Trump.
He looks at what Trump was doing and picks up his policies. He's done it a number of times. And now he's doing that with respect to Venezuelans coming into the country. And so he picked up Title 42. It got a lot of play, I would say, early on in the administration because Biden is fighting the Justice Department is talking about Title 42 in court. But now he's using Title 42 to deny Venezuelans fleeing their country. And basically, if Venezuelans walk or swim across our border, they will be expelled. Mexico obviously has a problem with that because they're also getting Venezuelans. And these are folks seeking asylum. And Biden's like, you know what? That Title 42 thing that I didn't like about Trump, yeah, I'm going to use it myself.
Because it works. By the way, Mayorkas is coming under fire because emails now prove he knew. Remember the whole thing about Haitian immigrants being whipped? He knew before. There's emails to prove he knew before he went on the national news outlets talking about this and disciplining those border agents. He knew. He was told there was nobody whipped. Blows me away.
So this person, Donald Trump said, committed political suicide. None other than
Roger Stone.
Mike Pence.
Oh.
Well, and, there's some 2024 dynamic going there. But, Trump is not a huge fan after January 6th of Pence. But Pence is like one of the most, we're going to talk about the Democrat who's like the most sought after speaker. But Pence right now is in high demand in these tightly contested races. This article says Pence is seen as something of a neutralizing agent. Is that the same thing as a wet blanket? Is that what they're talking about?
It doesn't sound complimentary.
Well, they're saying he could appeal more to moderates. So where people are thinking, and where they have a Trump, candidate, he's stepping in and saying, "Oh, this person isn't crazy. They're kind of good, and I'm the neutralizing agent." They do think it is helping the candidates appeal to moderates, saying, I'm just a nice grandpa. I'm vanilla. It's all good.
It reminds me of that if you've ever seen the movie Hangover 2, and Stu, the real bland guy, is described as white mushy rice. Not offensive, but nothing exciting. The history of tearing down goalposts. We get ready for the big homecoming weekend. Remember the last time goalposts torn down here in Missouri? We'll have that story coming up 5 minutes from now on Wake Up Mid-Missouri.
And now the throw is going to be intercepted by Buffalo. Picked off on a sidearm attempt to Sky Moore. Perrin Johnson with the pick. Patrick Mahomes came into this game with 2 interceptions for the season. He'll have 2 in this game, and a 24-20 lead by the Bills preserved.
All right, that's the call from KWOS last night. Chiefs lose to the Bills, are now at 4-2. Was it that play? Was it that play at the end of the game, Marsh, or was it another play earlier? I'm watching on the TV, and Mahomes frustrated, and he didn't yell. Did you see Tom Brady's fit over the weekend? Yelling on the sideline? Woo! Yeah! It was like, man. Like he was going off on Gisele Bundchen on that sideline rant, I think. Tom Brady going off. Patrick Mahomes, meanwhile, you know what he did? And I can't remember if it was the end of...
Oh.
Well, that's not the part I was talking. But he was going like... He was just going... He didn't know what to do. Just...
Hope Stephanie brought her umbrella this morning. Jeez.
Ugh.
Just frustrated. Chiefs lose 4-2 on the season, losing to the Buffalo Bills. Maybe they're the cream of the crop in the AFC now. They really, and they have always looked good. And we've already in our recent history had some really good games against the Buffalo Bills, and this one they're victorious in. And man, that quarterback, Allen, he jumped, hurdled over a Kansas City defender down the sideline. I'm like, man, that's pretty. I hate that it happened against the Chiefs, and I've been a lifelong Chiefs fan for 7 years now. Broke my heart. Incredible game. And then this weekend, it's homecoming at Mizzou. Steph and I, as a matter of fact, we are going to be downtown Columbia for the first largest homecoming parade in all of America. Stephanie and I are going to be downtown emceeing. I think we'll be like at 8th and Broadway. It is, I think, right there by City Hall. They give us the prime spot, which is always pretty nice. There's not a whole lot to be upset about there. And I could really care less about Alabama football, even having lived along the Gulf Coast for several years, except when they lose. That's something to be. And they're not number one. And I don't know why I'm like. And matter of fact, Houseworth, he's running around in the newsroom right now. He does radio reports for Alabama football every Saturday, man. That's how. Let me give you an idea about the stature of Brian Houseworth in college sports. He is on. He is Mr. RTR. He does radio cut-ins on Alabama football from mid-Missouri. That's how big of a deal Brian Houseworth is with some of this stuff. But I don't know what it is about human nature. Sometimes we love to see the successful guys lose. I don't know why that is.
Well, for me personally, I think that Alabama fans are just kind of a breed all of their own. Maybe it's just because they know that they're good, and so they kind of have that ego.
Yeah.
But it is kind of nice to see them lose. Yeah. I've seen lots of TikToks where Tennessee fans were just horrible to the Alabama fans.
And rightfully so.
Right. Like, I feel bad for the individual, but the fan base as a whole, it's like, it's kind of nice to see them get a taste of their own medicine a little bit.
And the other thing, so I don't know why that is. Sometimes we like to see the really successful people lose. I love it when the Yankees lose. I like it when the Dodgers lose, which they did do over the weekend.
Or maybe we want to see the little guy win.
Yeah, we do. We want to pull for something good. To put a positive spin on it. Thanks for bailing me out there, Steph. I appreciate that. But, yeah, we like to see the upset. Maybe it's not. Oh, and then the other thing I like to see, I love sideline rants by Nick Saban. I love to see that guy angry, and I don't know why. If it's mean-spirited or what. So then after Tennessee beats, and it was an incredible game. I don't watch a lot of college football unless it's Mizzou, but it was an incredible game. Following the win, Tennessee fans stormed the field, and we've seen this here in Missouri more than once over the years. Mm-hmm. Tore down the goalpost, and they went and did they take it to a local bar and cut it into pieces like we do? No? What did they do to it? They dumped it in the river.
Why?
I don't know.
It's a tradition there, isn't it?
Oh, okay.
I think I heard that it was a tradition. Let's see if I can Google
so
this.
So there's just a bunch of goalposts at the bottom of the river? It makes like a good fishing bed? Okay.
Last time it happened here It's been a while. We need a game that's tear down the goalpost worthy at Mizzou.
It might be a while, but I was here for one of them. It was so Mizzou. It was back when we were in my sport Big 12, right? We played Nebraska, and I was in college. We drove down. Chris's brother played for the team, and so we were sitting 50-yard line, and I was underage, so I did not storm the field. I was with my now in-laws. They weren't in-laws at the time. But yeah, Mizzou beat Nebraska. That was like our biggest rival, and it was wild. I mean, it was just electric. And yeah, they just hanging from the goalposts, yanked them down, marched them straight downtown. It was, awesome. I think it was 2000. Wake up, Columbia, folks. I think 2003, because I was still in college. But it's happened since then, right?
So I'm not even making this up. USA Today has an article posted, and apparently Tennessee football on Twitter is asking for donations for new goalposts. It says they have another home game this Saturday, and the school's like, yeah, it's cool that we, threw it in the river, but hey, turns out we need goalposts to play Saturday, so can you help us out?
So we need donations to either buy a new goalpost or we need somebody with a good dredge tugboat. They can go and dig. Dig.
Morgan Wallen posted something on social yesterday about the volunteers and was just like, yeah, Tennessee. I mean, they've got enough rich people. Like, can't Morgan Wallen just buy a new goalpost for them, really? But that's a solid plan from a university. Don't send me like a sappy, sad thing like donate. I get so many solicitations from universities. If I got one that was that clever, because they have money to put in new goalposts, they just, want to capitalize on the game. I think it's brilliant, honestly.
Well, and I guess the school also is going to get a pretty hefty fine for all the fans that stormed the field.
Oops.
But folks on Twitter are not real thrilled about the ask for money because I guess last fiscal year the school came ahead like almost $1 million. They're like, you can just buy some new goalposts, bud.
Last time we tore the goalpost down at Mizzou.
Royals at the 35 now fakes the pass, now throws it to Jones, who catches it at the 26-yard line, throws it off of the player, and Missouri wins it. And here comes the crowd at Thoreau Field in Columbia.
That was 8 years ago. Oklahoma. Sooners, number one team in the country. Mizzou beats them. And is that because there's some goalposts that still live at Harpo's or parts that live at Harpo's? And then I think there's another set of goalposts. I don't know if it's at the dive bar or one of the places along the business loop in Columbia. John says via text 874-9390, the goalposts are on hinges now, so they're a lot easier to take and go dump in a river or take to a bar.
I've heard that. How do you chop them up? Okay.
As a matter of fact, I've heard, and I don't know if this is true or not, maybe somebody knows, 874-9390, 874-9390, that the folks from Harpo's, they keep hacksaws there at the bar.
That Nebraska game, I'm pretty sure that's where most of the goalposts ended up. And that's so much better than the river. I mean, come on. Then people have a piece of history. I love that.
You can't, just fish it out of the river, though, if it's all cut up. It's gone at that point.
Right. But, why would you dump it in the river? Why wouldn't you hack it up and give it to the fans? That's so much better. Or, sell it at an auction, right? Like a charity auction. Hey, look, I've got this chunk of the goalpost from this, historic game. That's great. Oh, no, John.
Goalpost used once, October 25th. Our high today, we're going to be lucky if we hit 50. Right now it is 36 degrees, freeze warning in effect tonight. 22 days until the election. Mark Alford, who should win that 4th congressional district seat.
Is going to win.
He's going to win.
You could make $1 million bet on that, Brandon.
I could, couldn't I?
You could.
Anybody want to bet me that Mark Alford won't win? He's going to be here at 7:10 this morning. Going to talk about his event Friday night. Ted Cruz was here in Missouri. Ted Cruz here supporting Mark and Eric Schmidt. Is that another $1 million bet?
I wouldn't. I mean, he's going to win, but not like Alford.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, the percentages might be the same, but yeah. I mean, Trudy Bush Valentine's out there working hard. In fact, I think she got a couple of Republican endorsements, not any big ones, but yeah. I mean,
Danforth.
She's trying. isn't Mark Alford's competitor the one that's like stuck in his basement and never coming out? I mean, we don't even know. I don't know what that guy looks like, and right now I can't even. Is it the Truman guy?
Jack Truman.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. Which says a lot. We don't even know who.
Does he have a website? Nothing. He has nothing.
He might have like a Facebook page.
He doesn't have the Bush beer money for sure.
Yeah. Coming up, and these things matter because that's who we are going to be sending to Washington, D.C. to represent us. That stuff matters. 22 days away from the election. As a matter of fact, on a national level, there's a mid-level cabinet Democrat. He's getting more speaking requests. It's not Joe Biden. So I'm thinking, okay, it's got to be Kamala Harris. Who is the Democrat getting more speaking requests to be a surrogate? We'll have that.
Let's talk about the 2022 election. Will you accept the results of your election, Ms. Lake?
I'm running against a twice convicted racist who cost the state taxpayers $3 million.
That's Carrie Lake. She's a Republican gubernatorial candidate in Arizona. She is on. She goes on to CNN. Kudos to CNN for asking her, and kudos to her for going on to CNN. But I'm thinking back, and you got to hear the most prominent name in the Democrat Party. You got to hear what he said over the weekend in an interview. He is criticizing his own party. You can hear that coming up at 7:10. Hear what he had to say. It is the most prominent name in the Democrat Party. And one of the things he's saying, he's not just criticizing them, but he's like, you got to make it real. Kind of like what we do here on Wake Up Mid-Missouri. We don't just go and complain about the president. By the way, did you see Joe Biden over the weekend? Besides the thing he did offering a 12-year-old girl with hands on her shoulders from behind her, offering her dating advice. Should I ever see that at a parade? One of our listeners said via text, David says, and here's what I liken it to, Stephanie's kids or your daughters, your grandkids. For example, let's say we're at the parade this weekend, Mizzou Homecoming Parade, and an 80-year-old dude comes up behind your granddaughter and puts hands on her shoulders and then starts talking into her ear about dating advice.
Ugh.
Wow. Yeah, David said, jail. That's where they should be. That's what the president did this weekend.
I was going to say, there's a lot of dads who would just lay someone out for that. I mean,
you don't behave.
Ugh.
You just don't simply behave that way.
You don't touch anybody that you don't know. I mean, regardless of whether it's a man, what if I'm at the parade and I lean over and I touch someone from its shoulders and whisper in their ear? Like, I shouldn't be doing that. That's weird.
I couldn't go up to, because Hannah, who is 22, by the way, and kind of seriously dating somebody, by the way, right?
Kind of, sort of. Yeah, we're kind of engaged.
So it's kind of serious.
Yeah, you could say that.
Yeah. I wouldn't go up and put my hands, I wouldn't do that to anybody. Put them on, even if I know a woman, and put my hands on her shoulders while I'm standing behind her saying, hey, don't date anybody until you're 30, man. That's not how you behave. It's just not proper protocol. And coming from Democrats who are all about the wokeness and all of that stuff, it's just completely, it's hypocritical. And that's why I hope people get it from now on. It's not just Joe. It is the mindset of the current Democrat Party. That's why even on local offices, Sam Bushman, Cole County presiding commissioner, by the way, he should be fine. His opponent, Carlos. What do you know about Ms. Steck, John? Is that kind of her platform? We need more art in Cole County. But that's why we can't. That's why I try to tell people, especially the in-betweeners, the politically unhoused, you can't vote for Democrats, man, because it is a prevalent mindset. It's like they've been infected with something. The other thing that Obama did, he's talking about how great the economy is this weekend, I swear to God. So here he's being asked a question.
Our economy is strong as hell.
Our economy is strong as hell.
You said Obama.
Excuse me, Biden.
Okay, because I was going to say, Obama's like a smart guy. Like, yeah. I don't think he would say that, but Biden's talking about how great the economy is?
Yeah, Biden.
Our economy is strong as hell.
Our economy is strong as hell. And if you're one of those, and if you voted for Biden, if you're a Democrat or if you're independent, whatever, we're not criticizing you. We're saying, welcome into the show, man. As a matter of fact, hear what Mark Alford, who will be the next 4th Congressional District Congressman, he's here at 7:10. Hear what he has to say. The thing about that Biden, and I hope if you get a chance, I wish we were on TV sometimes. You can watch us on our YouTube. Did we get back onto YouTube?
We did.
Did you get banned while I was away?
No.
That's why you can't leave.
No. We almost got banned. We got flagged and put in jail for a week.
For what?
We don't know.
I leave you for a week?
Yeah.
But I appealed it and told YouTube they were being dumb, and they actually granted my appeal. So we're good. I got it. I talked us out of it. We're good.
Thank you. Excellent work, Hannah. Seriously,
Thanks.
You deal with Mark Zuckerberg. It's not the easiest thing in the world, or anybody from Google that runs the YouTube. So Biden is talking about our economy.
Our economy is strong as hell.
Our economy is strong as hell. He's in an ice cream shop. I seriously hope you get a chance to go. And he's like, Yeah. Like the only thing that's missing is a dunce cap. If you can picture this poor 80-year-old dude in an ice cream shop licking an ice cream cone going, yeah, our economy is strong as hell.
Tell me you're out of touch without telling me you're out of touch.
Well, and this is why no one wants to campaign with him, right? I mean, if you just flat out are delusional, or you're two things. You're either delusional or you're lying, and it's just so unbelievable that those words would even come out of his mouth, that everyone's like, even the Democrats are like, you're insane.
And I don't want to give you homework here, but seriously, if you get a chance, whenever you get in the office, whatever, search the video clip.
Which one? The ice cream one or the little girl one?
The little girl one is creepy. Watch the girl. If you search that, look at the girl's reaction. If you search the one, and they're both very short clips. There's something you could share with your friends and coworkers where Biden is, the economy is strong as hell. Like an ice cream cone. Mind-blowing. And that's why we've had people like Stacey Abrams, Mark Kelly. We've had prominent Democrats distance themselves from him. The Democrat they're turning to come to for speaking engagements even more than Kamala Harris, Secretary of Transportation Pete Buttigieg.
Really?
Yeah, that's what I said. Mark Alford, who will be the next 4th congressional congressman. He's joining us. His reaction to what Obama had to say over the weekend. Hear what Obama said at 7:10. Mark Alford's here, too.
policy gobbledygook. And that's not how people think about these issues. They think about them in terms of the life I'm leading day to day. How is it even relevant to the things that I care most deeply about? My family, my kids, work that gives me satisfaction, having fun, not being a buzzkill.
One of those rare times in life when we find ourselves, I at least agree with what former President Barack Obama said over the weekend. And what he's doing is he's criticizing Democrats. He's saying, they can be a buzzkill. And they're focusing on all these BS things that don't affect your life. However you describe somebody, whether they want to be called a he or a she or an it or whatever, that kind of stuff, that doesn't matter. That is not real. That is not impactful. Those kinds of things don't matter. So I love what the former President Barack Obama saying over the weekend. We got to talk about things and deal with things that really affect people. Defund the police, yeah, that affects people, but you got it wrong, Democrats. That's what former President Barack Obama is saying there. I want to bring in real quick 4th Congressional District candidate. He'll be our next congressman, Mark Alford. A lot around here. He was known as the former Kansas City TV guy. Recent Boone County Republican event, he was called a recovering TV guy. This was at the Boone County Chili Supper. Mark, I got to tell you, I agree with what Barack Obama said over the weekend, and that Democrats are focusing on just ridiculous things. Call that person a he, she, or whatever they want to be called. Defund the police, all this. But it's coming from the top name in the Democrat Party. What are your thoughts on this?
For once, I think President Obama got it right, but it's too late. Too little, too late, Brandon, because here's what's going to happen on November 8th. We are going to take back the House. We're going to take back the Senate. The Republicans are going to win big time. There's a red tsunami coming, as Senator Cruz said Friday night at our rally. This is not just a wave anymore. This is a tsunami. We saw the tide go out in August, right? And now it is coming back. The further it goes out, the bigger it's going to be when it hits the shore on November 8th. We are going to win because we have truth versus the lies, deception, the confusion that the Democrats have perpetrated on the American people. We are going to win because we have order versus the disorder, the chaos, the unrest, the uncertainty. We're going to win because we have the reason versus the emotion, the irrationality, and the instability that the Democrats have perpetrated on the American people. We have the solutions versus the faults, the problems, the crisis, the despair. And most importantly, Brandon, we have the inspiration to tell people that they are not victims. They are victors. We are not going to demonize people like the Democrats do. We're going to dwell on the positivity versus the negativity. We are not going to promulgate doom and despair as the Democrats have done. Finally, former President Obama recognized this, but it's too little too late.
And here's what scares me, Mr. Alford, is that Democrats are going to listen to Obama and go, oh, my God, he's right, and start all of a sudden do a 180 and start talking about things care about. I love Saturday Night Live lampooning the J6 hearings over the weekend. People just don't care about that stuff. Democrats continue to pin their hopes on, well, we hate Trump. We still wet the bed at night because of Trump. And call me a he because I demand to be called a he even though I'm not. And defund the police and all this craziness. So that's the one thing that does scare me, is that maybe Dems will go, oh, did you hear what Obama said? We got to talk about real things. Welcome to the show. It's Wake Up Mid-Missouri. I am Branden Rathert. We are so glad to have Stephanie Bell back with us. Good morning, Steph.
Good morning.
There's Mr. Brian Houseworth.
It's good to see you.
John Marsh is here. There's producer Hannah.
Good morning.
And Mark Alford, 4th Congressional District candidate. He's the guy that you vote for coming up 22 days from now. Did you get to hear our conversation with Ted Cruz on Thursday's show?
I did. We were traveling, but I went back and watched it, and I was just so honored that Senator Cruz came to our rally on Friday. And many of the things that he said on your interview, which was very good, he also said to us in a very fiery speech, in Raymore, Cass County. We rode this bus in with Senator Cruz, and I tell you what, it's got truth and courage on the outside of that bus. It's got heart on the inside. The senator and the soon-to-be Senator Eric Schmidt, we all rode this bus into Raymore. We got out, met this large crowd, and we just kind of delivered the truth to people. And people are so so much craving for the truth in America, and it was very well received.
People probably get tired of hearing me say it, but I hope that there were a bunch of regretful Biden voters there. I hope there were independents. I hope there were undecideds that were at this event Friday night in Kansas City.
Hey, Branden, go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
You go ahead.
One thing I will tell you, this is amazing. I have not seen this in a long time in the electorate, that people are waking up. Independents are waking up, moving to the Republican side of the agenda because they recognize that we do have truth on our side. We have had Democrats pull Republican tickets in the primary to vote in our race because they realize that we're going to do something different, that we're going to represent all 770,000 people in our district, that we're going to be the strongest, loudest, most consistent voice for them.
Mark, we appreciate you joining us live here on the program. Two-part question about the 4th Congressional District and about your race specifically. A, do you think Senator Ted Cruz will be coming here to Columbia or in mid-Missouri? I know he's in Raymore. You think he'll come here? And B, what are the big issues you're hearing about from voters in the 4th District, whether it's Columbia or Sedalia or Lamar, Harrisonville, Knob Noster? What are you hearing? What are the biggest things they're talking about to you when you campaign?
Let me start by a real quick answer on will Senator Cruz come to Columbia? I do not think he will. He is trying to hit now some of these other states where candidates are really in a tight race. He shared with us his schedule, which is quite impressive. Dozens and dozens of places that he's going to be visiting between now and November 8th. Your second part of your question, what are the big issues? Well, we were in Columbia a couple of weeks ago. We were live on your show. We talked to members of the Chamber of Commerce there in Columbia. We talked with business leaders and ordinary people. And the thing that I hear over and over again is transportation issues, particularly I-70 and the big interchanges there. We've got to do something to improve I-70 so that businesses can thrive even more along that corridor. I don't know exactly what the conditions or the solutions will be on that, but I want to be a part of the solution.
All right. As a matter of fact, we talk about solutions in business and the way things affect us because a lot of this nonsense that Dems talk about, and I'll go to gender identity, it's crazy. I can't believe the amount of time and energy they devote to that stuff. Meanwhile, people like Gary Plummer, Jefferson City Chamber of Commerce, he's here at 7:35 talking about some really good news, what's happening in mid-Missouri as it relates to new business startups. Mark Alford, 4th Congressional District candidate. He'll be our next congressman. He's joining us this morning here on Wake Up Mid-Missouri.
Yes, it can. We need to finish the wall that President Trump started. Unlike the President of the United States, Joe Biden, I've actually been to the wall. I've actually been to see what's happening there. I've actually been to see it's like a leaking sieve. And we are going to estimate there are going to be 3 million illegal aliens that are going to come across this border this year, bringing with them, many of them bringing with them the poisonous fentanyl that has killed 100,000 of our citizens last year and no telling how many this year. And it's coming into our area. We're only where I'm standing right now, we're a 13-hour drive from the Mexican border. And it is a shame that this administration is gaslighting, deceiving, and lying to the American people that the border is secure. We know full well it is not secure. We know the difference also between unlike the President of the United States, I know the difference between a horse, rein, and a whip. And we are now seeing once again that Mayorkas had lied to the American people. Secretary of Homeland Security, when he went forth with this idea from the White House press corps room that trying to incite the passions of people who really care about the history of slavery in this country and trying to demonize our Border Patrol for doing their job and keeping illegals out of our country.
So I love your tweet from yesterday. You reposted the Biden ice cream video, which we were talking about earlier this morning. And you said, did he say strong as hell or gone to hell? And I think you bring up a good point. I mean, Biden's telling us that our economy is strong. Everyone who's living day to day knows that's not the case. What can you do, because, I mean, we're going to be stuck with this guy for a couple more years. But say you get to Congress, what can we do about the economy in the near term?
First off, I think it's a very bad optics. Of course, I'm not in charge of making President Biden look better. That's somebody who's got that job has probably the hardest job in the world. But to go to an ice cream store, and I know the guy loves ice cream, that had this big waffle cone.
Don't we
filled
all?
with 2 scoops of his. Oh, who doesn't? And then to be almost flippant in his responses to the economy. There are people suffering in our state. There are people who are having to choose between filling up their pickup truck and filling up their stomachs. There are farmers who are having to reassess where they go from here because they can't afford fertilizer anymore. And so until we get back control, which we will, we are going to get the EPA, the USDA, the Justice Department off the backs of our farmers. We're going to let them do their jobs. And I think that is going to be a large part of what we do when Republicans take control. You know, this commitment to America that Leader McCarthy has come up with, and he came and did a little get-together for us on Wednesday there in St. Louis. And I'm so impressed that we're going to have actionable steps from day one. Number one, shutting down these 87,000 IRS agents that President Biden wants to sick on the average American person, not rich people, not people who own businesses necessarily, but the average person who's doing their taxes at home, those 87,000 agents. We are going to defund them. We are going to get this country back on track, and we're going to go forward with some strength and policy and strength and inspiration for the American people.
And here's something I want to mention before we let you go with the guy who will be our next congressman in the 4th Congressional District when he's talking about we're going to go to D.C. and we're going to ease up some of these regulations on farmers. We know $100 billion industry almost here in the state of Missouri. We ease up what Mark wants to do, go and ease some of these regulations on farmers, makes it easier for farmers, makes things cheaper for them to do, and then ultimately means you pay, when you go and buy groceries, they will be cheaper. That's how this stuff matters. Mark Alford, anything else you'd like to mention before we let you go?
Well, I just want to say thank you. I want to say thank you to Senator Ted Cruz. A year and a half ago, I never thought I was going to be in this race. I had no idea. This was not on my radar. And here I am with one of the foremost U.S. senators in the history of America, Ted Cruz, the future Senator Eric Schmidt, he and I have become friends. And we had Leader McCarthy in last week. Tuesday, Governor Parsons doing a little event for us in Sedalia at the Fox Theater. I am just humbled and honored that they are putting their trust in me to be a voice not just for Missouri, but for America and the Republican Party. We are going to take back America.
Listen to this real quick.
This is Ted Cruz. Let's go, Branden.
So I got him to do the Let's Go, Branden. I couldn't get him to do a Let's Go, Mark. I tried, man. Mark. Mark Alford, he will be our next 4th Congressional District congressman. Thank you for joining us this morning here on Wake Up Mid-Missouri.
Take care.
All right. Anything you need from us, let us know here at 93.9 The Eagle and 104.5 News Radio 950 KWOS. Coming up, we're going to be doing What's Hot with Hannah. What do you have for us today?
I have a new fashion accessory that I think Stephanie might be interested in.
All right. Yay. So what is it that Stephanie would be interested in? It's a fashion accessory. It's What's Hot with Hannah. It's coming up 7:25. Good morning, 7:25-ish, which means it's
7:26.
time for What's Hot with Hannah.
You know, I'm glad Stephanie's back because I've been saving this story just for Stephanie because I know she's going to be really excited about it.
We're all glad Stephanie's back.
I'm glad I'm back.
Now, Stephanie, I know you love a good designer product, right?
What?
You do.
Or a discount product. Yes,
Or a
I
discount,
love
yes.
all things.
Well, there's something really interesting about to hit the market, and I think it's weirder than Hidden Valley Ranch's home decor collection. It's Balenciaga, right? So a very high-end fashion brand.
Saw a couple of those stores when I was in Vegas, sure.
Yes. They have teamed up with Lay's potato chips.
What?
For a Lay's-inspired Balenciaga purse collection. And these bags are apparently made out of leather, but it seriously looks like they just took a Lay's chip bag and sewed in a zipper to the top.
Go slow, because I want to go look at the. Is this on our Facebook page? No.
It will be shortly. Thanks for putting me on the spot there.
I just assumed it was. My bad.
Is it a European thing? Because I will tell you, when I was in London, there were so many people. We were walking around, and Chris and I were wondering. They were all eating chips, walking down the street, and I thought, that is such a weird snack, right? They're on the train. And Brandon, you have like weird germaphobe things. And so the fact that you're like touching the handle in the train and then you're reaching in the bag and then putting it in your mouth and then this, and plus like in the middle of the afternoon, like, and there's also no protein in that snack. I just like, but everyone was doing it. I'm like, since when did people walk around just eating chips? But maybe that's where this comes from because I don't love chips. Somebody said chips or fries all day long, right?
Oh yeah. These bags are a whopping $1,500.
Wow.
But I'm telling you, if you could fashion a zipper to the top of a Lay's potato chip bag, you'd have the same exact look.
And you have a Cricut, so maybe we could dupe the logo or something and then,
And go to jail for...
Not if it's just a DIY project. We're not going to sell them to anybody. You're just going to make me one and gift it to me.
Okay.
Oh, which reminds me.
Brandon does not want to talk about purses.
No, speaking of things that are cool and what's hot with Hannah, we do it around 7:25 is just time every morning. And I can't remember if this conversation was on air this past Feel Good Friday. We're talking about when you say deuces to somebody, and I looked at you like.
Yeah, and even John Marsh knew what I was talking about.
Yeah, you remember that, Marsh? Even John, like, man, John knows even.
Yeah.
So I'm at that chamber event Friday, and there's a dude who's very heavily involved with the Jefferson City Chamber of Commerce, and he comes up and he relays to me what's that? He relays to me a story, and he says, so I'm telling this dude, we're out of here. And he said, and this is a dude, in a suit and everything. And he's like, so we're like deuces, man. And I'm like, dude, 3.5 hours ago, I never heard it.
Wow.
Coming up, hey, there are potentially some really exciting things happening with the Missouri State Prison and ultimately the Mid-Missouri economy. Jefferson City Chamber of Commerce's Gary Plummer is here with several big pieces of news we're talking about. That's 5 minutes from now.
To have to repeat it twice, I think that can tend to make people a little upset. But it can also add 20, 30 seconds to the ambulance being dispatched.
Yeah, and every little bit helps when it comes to placing 911 calls. Cole County Presiding Commissioner Sam Bushman talking about moving forward with a new 911 call center. Chatting with our news partners at ABC 17 this past Friday. Big event with the Jefferson City Chamber of Commerce, State of the City and County event. John Marsh was the master of ceremonies from somebody in a non-political lineage, Marsh. Somebody, as we live here in mid-Missouri, is somebody who would have been just a casual observer to the event. What, in your mind, do you think were the biggest one or two things to come out of that event for mid-Missouri? Yeah. So these are all things, even if you're like not in the business community, not in politics, these are all things that are affecting our lives on a daily basis. So big stuff. As a matter of fact, I was chatting with Gary Plummer. Gary Plummer is with the Jefferson City Chamber of Commerce. Talking about some of the things happening at this event on Friday. We welcome Gary into the show. Now just wanted to bend your ear for like 3 to 5 minutes here. I think the other cool thing, and I want you to explain what this means to us. Recently, U.S. Census Bureau came out and said, hey, man, we look at cities across the nation, and one of the cities with really a huge increase in new business applications, Jefferson City, Missouri, over the past 2 years, 24% increase, 31% increase last year. What ultimately, I'm thinking of somebody going to work this morning, and maybe they're an accountant at an accountant firm, and they're thinking, okay, so why do I care about the increase in new business applications? What does that mean for us here in mid-Missouri, Gary?
Well, first of all, Brandon and John and everyone, thank you for having me with you this morning. I think it's just a very positive sign about the economy that we have here in Jefferson City. When you see us having the fastest growth of any Missouri city, I think that says a lot about the vitality, about the entrepreneurship that is encouraged in our community through programs like Pitch It and Win It, which will be presenting a $5,000 grant again to a emerging new business on November 1 in our business summit.
And some of the other things that were covered, obviously, there's some ARPA money out there. There's a bunch of different things going on. What is it, though, that has you most excited for Jefferson City right now?
Well, I have to say that one of the things that I think everyone is excited about is the new leadership at Lincoln University. And we had Dr. John Mosley come on the stage as kind of a last-minute surprise guest with the panel that Mr. Marsh moderated. Talked about some exciting things going on at the university, including a new state-of-the-art nursing and cybersecurity sort of center that would be right on the corner of campus. And I just think everyone's really excited about what's going on the Hill there and what a positive impact that's going to have on our entire region.
Hey, Gary, and can you do us a favor? Don't refer to John as Mr. Marsh, and we'll go to his head. We would appreciate.
I like to respect my elders. So.
Oh, Gary, John. Wow, Gary Plummer, Jefferson City of Chamber of Commerce, hanging out with us this morning here on Wake Up Mid-Missouri.
Oh, there's no question about it. That's the number one concern that we hear about from our members, and we rolled our sleeves up and partnered with Jefferson City Regional Economic Partnership to create a workforce coalition about a year ago, and we have them working 3 or 4 different key areas, and including child care, which I never thought that would be such a hot issue for Chamber of Commerce, but right now the lack of child care capacity is really holding back people who would like to reenter the workforce, but they don't have an option to do that.
I want to go back to the leadership at Lincoln University. How can the chamber facilitate, the relationship between Lincoln and business owners and the business community? I feel like, a lot of times everyone kind of gets in their little silos, but how do you foster that relationship and work together for economic development purposes?
That's a great question. Actually, when Dr. Mosley was first named the interim president, my board chairman, Jeff Davidson from Monterey Litho, and the past chairman of the chamber, Darren Heckman from High Five Communications, and I all went to visit with Dr. Mosley and said, hey, we really want to do something to help you get where you want to go. And we talked about a couple of different options and settled on an internship program. And we immediately went to work and started reaching out to our members about a year ago and matched up about 20 businesses with 20 juniors and seniors at Lincoln University for some paid internships that semester. We are now going into about the 3rd semester round of that, and the momentum continues to grow. And that's just a great way for a local business to make a connection with a young person that you never know might turn out to be a 30-year partnership for that person and retain some great talent in our community.
And I always, we get new businesses. We talk about this incredible number of new business applications. And according to a study from the United States Census Bureau, 31% increase in 2021 for Jefferson City. It means more tax revenue, means growth for the city, more jobs, more money. We all do better. It's cool when we see things moving forward. And, even on a state level, look at the tax cuts that were passed in that special session a couple of weeks ago. A lot of good things happening here in mid-Missouri. Gary, is there in the prison, the stuff, as a matter of fact, Mayor Carrie Turgeon she spent some time talking about this Friday, the stuff happening around the prison. Can you kind of give us a quick bottom line of what we could potentially be seeing there here just in the next couple of years?
Well, it is exciting to see some things start to happen. The state is making an investment there in some laboratory space. We're getting close to an agreement with the developer for a hotel and conference center. There are some other private associations that are interested in building on that site. And so that, coupled with the commitment by the city to do something about Capitol Avenue and the tornado-ravaged section that is having a hard time coming back, it really can develop a great corridor in the center of our city between the prison redevelopment site and the Capitol.
Yeah, and it's just exciting. I mean, we're talking about a potential hotel and a convention center or something like that. I think that stuff is great. Gary Plummer, Jefferson City Chamber of Commerce. Thank you so much for joining us here on Wake Up Mid-Missouri this morning.
Thank you for the invitation.
Hey, you bet. Anything we can do to be of service here, you let us know. I think that stuff is exciting, and I'll go back to see what happens when you have conservative, smart people in leadership. You have things growing and bounding. You see what happened on a state level with our taxes are going down a little bit more money. That's impactful, real stuff, and our paychecks. And our progressive friends just don't see it that way. Here's what they see: higher gas prices, higher grocery costs, things like that. It is crazy. And I do want to direct your attention. I thought this was really cool. Andrew Wilson, who is with the Show Me Institute, wrote a really nice piece over the weekend, and it's printed in the Columbia Daily Tribune, and it's titled "Opposing Visions of We the People for Our Nation of Missouri." And he goes and he talks and he puts it in real simplistic terms, just kind of bullet points. Okay, let's take a look at what progressives are doing. A country that is more ashamed than proud of its history. Check. No longer acts or feels like the land of the free and home of the brave. Check. A country that has learned to think less highly of hard work and individual success. Check. Think about that. You have people quiet quitting. Well, I'm only going to work X number of hours a day, and I'm not doing that. He's right, man. Everything this guy writes in here, he's absolutely right. Embracing the idea of unending conflict between black and white, rich and poor. A country that is far more socialist than capitalist. The Inflation Reduction Act, which does nothing to reduce inflation or reignite growth. Andrew Wilson, Show Me Institute. It's a really, really good piece. And I also like, John, did you see this in the Jefferson City News Tribune regarding a billboard in Jefferson City? I love this piece to the editor. So the guy's name is Nelson Otto, and he wrote kind of an interesting piece. Matter of fact, we'll do that like 5, because there's something, I'm guessing thousands of people have what this guy took time out of his day to write about to the Jefferson City News Tribune. Thousands of people got to see this thing every day. We'll do that like 5 minutes. Plus, the latest.
They're online right now trying to find someone cuter than me, with a good job, someone better than me. They will never find anyone better than me.
That's December Harmon, Citizens Police Review Board in Columbia, and that's the element they're trying to do away with tonight. One of the things happening, and this will actually be at the pre-council meeting. The city council is going to be chatting with folks. They've had a slew of people, well, 3 people, but that's a lot when you're talking, 5-7 member board or whatever that's been plagued and dogged by problems anyway. And I trace back to the head of that board, December Harmon. I mean, it's just craziness. This Citizens Police Review Board is supposed to be, hey, if you're leveling a complaint against law enforcement, you come through us and we'll see if what happened. But it is not that. And this was started, I think, 15 years ago with buy-in from city police, from the Police Officers Association. And now it's just because of people like dissent. They're just trying to get the cops. They're just trying to go after the cops. Incredibly disheartening. Welcome into the show. Here's what I am excited about today. Stephanie Bell is back.
Yay.
Big trip. Who are you hobnobbing? You're always hobnobbing Tom Cotton, prime ministers from all kinds of places. Interesting trip. The
Queen. Yeah. No, so I was out there for business. Big, giant gaming conference. So like 40,000 of my best friends. But no, literally, one really interesting thing about going, though, was it was packed when I showed up before the conference. So not only was the conference packed, but I've been to Vegas 6 or 7 times in the last couple of years. It's been a lull, but there were so many people out there. It was nice to see because it felt, for the first time, even though I feel like we've been over the pandemic for a while, for the first time, it really felt like we're back, right?
You know what's, because I'm with you, by the way, on the pandemic stuff. There's a story in USA Today there. Like United, we've had to come up with $300 million to help kids with low test scores. We hate to say we told you so, but...
We told you so.
And duh. And now all of these progressive national news outlets are, and now we're having to spend money for the test. Well, we said, listen, you yank kids out of school, you put masks over their faces, you're going to really... you are doing incredibly more harm than good. In less than 2 years, we are already seeing proof of what we smart people were saying. So Stephanie Bell is here. Producer Hannah is here. There's John Marsh. Brian Houseworth is here. Some interesting things as it relates to homelessness in one of our local mid-Missouri cities. We're covering that for you at 8:10. A great letter to the editor in the Jefferson City News Tribune. If you see the one in the Columbia Daily Tribune online, Andrew Wilson is with the Show Me Institute. He's, just an incredible piece, opposing visions of we the people for our nation and Missouri. And the reason I think it's a really good, incredible piece, and I don't think I'm overselling it, is because bullet points. Okay, here are the problems by that mindset. Country ashamed of its history. Wokeness in workplaces, more socialist than capitalist, Inflation Reduction Act, which does nothing to fight inflation or reignite growth. It's just great because it's all right there, like 2 pages, man. It's good stuff. And then there's one in the Jefferson City News Tribune, which I also love. There's a billboard. Main part. Have you seen? There's a billboard, John. I'm trying to think. Thousands of people have seen this, but there's a big billboard, and I can't think of exactly where it is. But it says, on Highway 50. It says, "I'm an atheist and I vote." And I love that the guy who wrote the piece, Nelson Otto from Jefferson City, wrote a piece. Says, "I'm an atheist and I vote." And I see the billboard and I go by it, and I'm like, okay. What's your reaction when you go by it? Just kind of. Yeah. So I love, and the guy writes, this Nelson Otto's, "I saw the most perplexing billboard coming in the major part of town on the expressway. It read, 'I'm an atheist and I vote.' My first thought was, so what? Except for the fact that she, and I don't know, do we know that a female put that up? I don't know. Doesn't believe in God or any gods. What's the difference? Blah, blah, blah. What are they trying to tell us? Are they saying they have the same value as different religions? What government policies?" But I always love these things. It reminds me of the days back when pre-internet, there were polls, and like you could call this 1-900 number, and you'd pay 50 cents a phone call to vote, like yes or no.
Like American Idol or something.
Yeah, something like that. But like on the news programs, you would call and vote in these polls. This was pre-internet era, and you spent money, 50 cents or $1.50 a phone call, and you would have 48% say yes, 30% say no, and another 20% say I don't know. And I always love those people that spend $1.50 to call into CNN and say, I don't know. But here's $1.50. I'm so passionate about my answer of I don't know that I'm willing to spend $1.50 on the phone call. And it's kind of like
writing a mean letter about how a billboard is triggering you.
Something like that. Coming up a little bit after 8:00. Some of the things happening. Columbia City Council meeting tonight, getting set for the big homecoming week. Oh, and you got to hear the biggest name in the Democrat Party over the weekend criticizes Democrats. Who was it? What did he say? You got to hear that coming up at 8:10.
policy gobbledygook. And that's not how people think about these issues. They think about them in terms of the life I'm leading day to day. How is it even relevant to the things that I care most deeply about? My family, my kids, work that gives me satisfaction, having fun, not being a buzzkill.
Don't be a buzzkill. Barack Obama talking about Democrats over the weekend saying, man, what they're doing, they're talking about policy wonka stuff that just has no effect on people. It doesn't matter. And I love what he's saying because here's why. Seriously, when was the last time, I'll start with you, Marsh, when was the last time you found yourself agreeing with something that Barack Obama said? You're like, yeah, all right, that's great. And here he is, he's saying, man, you're focusing on gender stuff and you want to refer to this person as a he or a she even though they're not. Don't focus on that stuff. I hope that Democrats don't pay attention to what he's saying, maybe especially prior to the election, midterms 22 days from now. But I thought it was great. That's so you have the top name without a doubt. You look at a list of names, you try to get people to come speak from you. You start with Barack Obama. And he is saying, man, don't be a buzzkill. We're focusing on just really inconsequential, stupid stuff. And I think one of the other reasons I like it, because that's one of the things that we try to do here on Wake Up Mid-Missouri on 93.9 The Eagle and 104.5 News Radio 950 KWOS is, not focus on stupid stuff, but explain when things happen, this is what it means to you. These are how things work. And I'll start with when Joe took office, probably even after the election of 2020, we said, man, our standing on the worldwide stage is going to crumble. It is. And we've been right. Not that we're great or anything, but we've seen what's happened on a worldwide stage. That's how these things affect us. Tax cuts easy. In Jeff City, what happened a couple of weeks ago, you're getting more money in your bank account. That's how it affects you there.
Yeah, I have friends who have kids in the military, right? And, and you have different concerns today than you did a few years ago. And that's a real thing for moms and dads who have to sleep at night.
The other thing is, if you look at the polls from Oregon, and I think that's an interesting state to look at because they've had issues in Portland. That Oregon governor's race, the Republican has a legitimate shot to win out there. First time since 1982, and the governor of New York is in some trouble in the polls. I mean, that is, and she took some shots at the president for basically saying we need to get some help up here with the migrants. So all is not well in the Democratic Party. I mean, there is some issues out there. That said, they did send President Biden out to Oregon to campaign.
You know what he did there?
Yeah,
to campaign.
Made it worse.
So that is where
you're right. And also, just to the north of Oregon in Washington, there's a couple of races there. And to give you an idea, for the most part, until you get into the rural areas of Washington and Oregon, man, those are incredibly progressive states.
But the rest of those states, though, you get out into the rural areas, Oregon, and there's not as many people live out there. Yeah. It is, in the last point I make about what you said about President Obama, he is someone who's very comfortable on the campaign trail, and he basically was saying in there, let's talk about kitchen table issues, but they are sending him to Georgia. They're sending him to Michigan, where Governor Whitmer, I believe, Gretchen Whitmer, her poll numbers, very, very tight race up there in Michigan, a heavily Democratic state, and then to Wisconsin as well. So we'll see what happens.
That's Brian Houseworth. Producer Hannah is here. Stephanie Bell is back. We're all excited. My name is Branden Rathert. There is John Marsh, 874-9390. Here is Bob. Bob, welcome into the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, thanks, Brandon. Hey, I have to disagree with you.
Okay.
I think you're giving Obama too much credit.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone can say what he's saying after the fact, but think about it. Did he say anything about the MSNBC commentator last week when she got the race of the coaches wrong and called the NFL racist? Did he say anything about the riots of 2020 when it was occurring, or even look back in Missouri? What did he say about Ferguson and Michael Brown? So I think you got to temper what you say, because anyone can say after the fact and but really what his true colors are.
I agree. And probably if he were giving a speech, Bob, he maybe, I doubt that he would have, but maybe he could have expounded on that stuff. That was in the gist of the interview, so I don't know if he had opportunity to go and talk about that stuff. But I think the point, you've got the top name in the Democrat Party saying, man, you guys got to quit being a buzzkill and focusing on things like gender stuff and focus on real issues. Bob, we appreciate you being a part of Wake Up Mid-Missouri.
You know, we were talking about this red wave, and I heard a term that I'd never heard before earlier this week, and it was submerged voters. And they're saying, why was the polling so wrong in 2020? And I haven't heard, I kind of heard that they were uncommunicative, but the Trafalgar Group is really now talking, they're actually submerged. And that scary Biden speech and how everyone's getting called ultra MAGA, they're just not responding to polling, but they are they are saying they will show up on Election Day. And it really has given me more hope that even because you're talking about Oregon, you're talking about New York, so the polls are already, the people who are responding to polls, they're already trending better. But yet what he was saying, there's still a group out there that aren't responding to polls. They tend to be more Republican. And this whole thing, they've been basically, they said submerged, but they've been driven underground. And they're like, I'm not going to tell you how I'm voting. I'm not going to respond to polls. I'm not going to take your junk.
Yeah, we had a caller call into the show, I think it was Thursday, who said he took a phone call from a pollster and he said he lied his ass off to them. We had audio from Mike Huckabee on Fox saying, if you get a phone call from a pollster, and if you do take it and you are answering questions, and you think if you're a conservative and you see how law enforcement has been yielded as a weapon, FBI, Mar-a-Lago, and other stuff, we see things that happen with the IRS goes after conservatives, all these things, conservative parents at school board meetings over the past 2 years. Do you think somebody is going to get on a phone with a pollster and say, yeah, I'm a conservative, I support Trump, I support, Schmidt or Alford or Sam Bushman even in Cole County? It's interesting. I want to get on to some local stuff here because there's a big thing happening in Columbia City Council meeting tonight. As it deals with homelessness, because it sounds almost like there's a couple of different things going on. So in Columbia, problem with homelessness, and I think it does need a little bit of setup here. So there is no, which is the right thing. There is no completely taxpayer-funded homeless shelter. I shouldn't have to pay for that, nor should you. And the city has promoted over the years a warming shelter, the Wabash bus station. You come downtown and, hey, we'll spend taxpayer money and we'll help take care of you and keep you warm at night. And, okay, that's fine. But in downtown Columbia, guess who else they want to come to downtown Columbia? You and your money. They want you and your Benjamins to come to downtown Columbia. Well, guess what happens when, and I saw this, I was at an incredible, it wasn't a fundraiser, it was just an event for True North. They deal with domestic abuse. Saturday night at the Blue Note, Ashley Emmel, Wendy Wiederhold, and people that do a lot of work with True North, they were there. We come out of the Blue Note, and I don't know if they were homeless because they were panhandling. Panhandlers not always homeless. Homeless people not always panhandlers. So those are the kind of people that Columbia has been promoting for the past couple of years. Hey, we want money and tourists and nightlife money. We want all that. Well, then when you mix that with homeless people that you're encouraging to come downtown, it's idiotic in the first place. I can't believe the incredible lack of forethought. Maybe we shouldn't promote homeless people to come downtown, where we promote, really the bread and butter of the Columbia economy, the campus, but downtown business district. I've never understood that. But a couple of things. Tomorrow, as a matter of fact, we're having an attorney on the show. There's some land that's being sold. Several groups, this according to our news partners at ABC, they want to build the Opportunity Campus on Business Loop near Bowling Street. The person who used to own the land for the center is against the plan. Voluntary Action Center has been looking for land to build the campus for almost 2 years. The former owner of the property is saying she had no idea the property was going to be used for a homeless center, or otherwise potentially she wouldn't have sold it to them. Her attorney, Marjorie Lewis, she's on the show tomorrow to talk about this. And then the story gets a little bit more interesting. I spoke with a city council person yesterday about this, with Councilwoman Betsy Peters bought this land. And the owners are saying, we didn't know this was going to be used for homeless stuff. So you have a city council person, according to ABC 17, goes and buys this land about less than a year ago. And now this city councilwoman, who I mostly like, I like Betsy Peters, she's She wants to sell the land to the Voluntary Action Center. Now, I don't know if there's anything wrong, but I think anytime you have a sitting city council member who is buying something and then selling it to something that's the city is dealing with a lot, makes my ears perk up a little bit. The attorney, Marjorie Lewis, actually joins us on the show tomorrow. What's happening tonight?
Yeah, that's everything you're saying there is pretty much spot on. One thing you have in there that I'm not aware of is the former owner coming forward and saying they had no idea, because that is not in any of the reports. But you're spot on. Marjorie Lewis has sent an email to Mayor Buffalo and to the council and the city manager in opposition letter to the use of the VFW property as an overnight shelter. Now, what I have reported this morning, and I've read this and we've covered it in detail, Brandon, basically is two parts. Number one, the council tonight is set to vote. Doesn't mean they will. They could table it, but they're set to vote on a proposal to purchase the VFW building, parking lots, and the picnic shelter on Ashley Street, which is the area you're talking about, for $865,000. Now, federal ARPA money would pay for that. There is obviously some concern for people in the area about that. There also is a different agreement. I haven't covered this as much, but it's still important. I've referenced it. There's an agreement that'll be voted on to provide homeless overnight warming center services, working with Turning Point Day Center. So we'll focus on that. But I think for tonight, the biggest item on the agenda to me is that proposal for the VFW to sell their property. And by the way, the VFW, and I have the agreement here, the VFW would still retain ownership of the furniture inside, including the tables, chairs, wall hanging, the pool table. They have a shuffleboard unit, according to this report. And then the kitchen
Hey, you got to keep the homeless entertained, man. I don't get it.
That's in there, but that is surprising to me that but that's what it reads.
But 2 points here. So I think anyone is, we say, and everyone kind of has agreed, oh, I don't want the homeless shelter in downtown. Then you go try to put it out on the business loop, and the people around there are like, hey, not here. And I think anywhere we put it, you're going to get that pushback. And so, what do you do? And then I also have a fundamental disagreement with people who, are like, well, we sold our property, but we don't want it used for that. Is it within the zoning? Don't care, because, well, we don't want a homeless shelter. Well, then what do you want? You probably don't want animals, as like an individual property rights, right? Like if you bought it, you paid for it, and it's within the zoning, you should be able to do whatever you want, even if you're the governmental entity. I don't have a problem with it. But I think if we keep batting this around about where the homeless shelter goes, we're never going to agree on a location.
Which might be just as well, too.
It is an interesting point, but Stephanie, I will tell you that the neighbors over there, the neighbors are fired up, in the business groups, and we've had them on. Business people downtown are absolutely adamant.
It's probably the same people who are on social media saying we must do something about the homeless. They're probably the same neighbors who are saying, well, not here, though.
Well, what they're saying is that they're scaring the customers away downtown. I mean, we've that's actually been in reports. But as far as there's not a lot of homes right up there in that area. I actually drove up there to take a look again, but there are a few, and it's hard to describe it. It's basically kind of up there off the road, but there are homes that are not terribly far, and those folks have concerns. But the VFW apparently is on board for this, but they're going to get paid almost $1 million here to sell that property.
So then room at the inn, according to the Missourian, has prospects to open in late November. Now, this is not, as I understand it, not a homeless shelter. These are kind of two different things here. We got about 30 seconds if you're able to bottom line this for us.
That's basically it in a nutshell. You've got and again, these are all proposals right now. You're talking about an overnight warming shelter. I think the big thing is, if everything goes as the city would like to, and the Betsy Peters thing's a whole other sidebar story, because the city attorney has obviously looked at that, I'm sure, on behalf of her. Yeah. But really the issue is, will that homeless shelter be built on that land? And from the city's perspective, that's the best place to put it. And the VFW seems to be on board. So ultimately, it's going to be up to the council.
And that's going down to tonight. Coming up 5 minutes from now, the Morning Bell business news with a little twist that only Stephanie Bell can give you. What can we look forward to this morning?
This is drying up.
8:27, time for the Morning Bell business news with a little twist that only Stephanie Bell can give you. And this is one of the reasons here at about 8 where we do this every morning is especially why I am glad that you are back this morning.
You are correct that the Democrats' chances of winning are drying up, but also drying up, I think. Also drying up, apparently, is the Mississippi River. And it's causing major backups. It's the lowest level it's been in nearly 30 years. So if you've ever been floating like at the Huzzah on the Merrimack and you got, a whole boat full of dudes and you got to drag your boat, if in the 100-degree heat, you're with me. You've done it. I've done it. It's miserable. Got to get out, drag that boat. Apparently, you can't do that with barges full of grain. They just get backed up. And so they say, like in Tennessee, there's just bins full of grain. It's costing almost twice as much now to get a barge down the river. And so it's just increasing prices already, but causing major problems. And I know we got rain here last week, but apparently not enough.
I have relatives in southeast Missouri, and I used to live in Perry County. Went to school at Cape Girardeau for a while, but there's something called Tower Rock. And I might be wrong here, but I think Tower Rock, it was something that was formed in the river after the earthquake of 1812 or whatever that changed the course of the Mississippi River. And this Tower Rock is a really nice site. But apparently right now you could walk out to Tower Rock.
That's incredible. Well, the river accounts for, they say, 92% of U.S. agricultural exports, 78% of global exports of soybeans and feed grains. And during the drought of 2012, the dry up cost our economy $35 billion. So we're bringing you all the good news here on this Monday morning.
And that drought has happened since Joe's been in office. Is that true? This drought has happened since January the 20th of 2022.
Don't say that because then they're going to claim climate change.
I know. Coming up just a few minutes from now to Obama's point about Democrats focusing on silly stuff. The latest thing has got some folks to upset, and it's something that we see on our text every day, and folks are upset about it. We'll do that 5 minutes from now. Good morning.
Broyles at the 35, now fakes the pass, now throws it to Jones, who catches it at the 26-yard line, throws it off of the player, and Missouri wins it. And here comes the crowd at Faurot Field in Columbia.
That was 8 years ago. Last time, I think it was the last time that we beat a number one ranked team in the country. I might be wrong there. Best to my recollection. But last time that I recall, at the very least, that the goalpost came down at Faurot Field.
You know, I know that they have come down before. What year?
2014, it was Mizzou. They beat Oklahoma, number one ranked team in the country, and it was homecoming weekend.
That was actually 2010. 2010. I'm sorry, Brandon. It was 2010. Now, because that would have been that game when game day was here. Now, they may have taken down some goalposts since then, but you're right. That was a kind of a controversial issue. And there were Senator Kurt Schaefer actually had to get involved. There were people who were arrested in a number of them, and the legislature actually got involved, and they ended up being dismissed. But Kurt Schaefer himself got involved in that case. That's what I remember about that.
I saw them come down in 2003 when we played Nebraska, and they marched them over to the bar and they chopped them up. It was awesome. I was not on the field.
Yeah, and there was an incident too where
So you were at the game, but you didn't go out on the field?
I was at the game. I was with my in-laws. My brother-in-law was playing for the team, and I was underage, so I was also like completely sober.
Right, because when you want to break the rules and get onto a field, you have to be of age.
No, but I was minding
That stuff would scare me. I'm claustrophobic. I don't think I'd want to be involved with a stampede of fans on the fields.
No,
Brian, you are correct.
And again, I'm not trying to correct you.
You are. That's your job. That's why you were brought here, Brian.
I understand.
Listen, we got this Brandon guy. There's some things we like about him. We're going to bring in Stephanie, too, because, that's why you're here.
and you did a great job setting that up. The one thing I do agree with you on is, and I'm not saying not to have fun, but we saw it in the Tennessee game. Yeah. We saw it in the Tennessee game, and that got very chaotic. Olivia, and forgive me, her last name, she's a television reporter in Alabama. She actually says she came close to that goalpost hitting her in the skull because it came down. And that can be a problem, to say the least. That can be a problem, cause issues, and then you've got people being stampeded. I'm not a big fan of it. I almost think the college football and TV especially almost encourages it. But, I worry about it.
Didn't they change the goalpost so they can come down easier so they won't hurt people? I thought they were.
Supposedly, but that crowd came down very, very quickly on Saturday. Brandon and I remember it was the Who. At Cincinnati, and that's what I always worry about. I worry about that. That was a terrible tragedy. There were people killed.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, back in, and I can't remember what year it was, this was a smaller program in Minnesota Morris's basketball team. Fans worked to tear down goalposts there, and somebody was hit by the guy's name was Richard Rose. He was from Benton City, Washington, and he died.
One of my favorite homecoming pranks, I was in law school. We had like field level seats with the student section, and on the very first game, someone blew up a beach ball. And it was getting hit around the student section, and the worker did not like that, right? And so he was chasing it all over, trying to get a hold of it. And he finally got a hold of the beach ball, and he held it up in front of the whole students, and the students are booing. They're yelling, "That guy hates America," just booing this guy. And he holds it up, and he stabs it with a knife or something and throws it to the ground like, "Gotcha."
Wow.
And so everyone's cool for 4 games, and then it's homecoming. And the sororities and fraternities have gotten in on it together. And first touchdown, and there were 100 beach balls. They blew them all up, and we're having a good time. They're fun. I love being at the game and seeing some pranks, and they're fun pranks that won't injure anybody. So we should focus on those.
That was that what you had you had that here, and then also you had a huge win, and I believe the goalpost may have came down at Arrowhead Stadium in 2007, Mizzou beat Kansas at Arrowhead Stadium, which sent him to the Big 12 championship game. Todd Reesing's helmet ended up full of grass. If you remember, literally you couldn't see his face; it was covered up. I think the goalpost came down that game.
So Tennessee is now saying they need money to replace the goalpost, and that it has to be done fairly quickly.
Yes.
Now, I assume like supply chain issues, you can't just like get on Amazon and order some new goalposts. So like I assume we have a spare set like in storage or something, or is that not the case?
It's a great question. I don't know. And I would hope that they'd have some, because according to news reports I saw, the goalposts were thrown into the Cumberland River by the students.
Yeah.
By the students who probably claim to be environmentalists, I'm sure. So I guess you could go out and get them, I guess, but no, they're going to have to come up with $100,000. They are asking the fans to help pay for that. So
man,
that is incredible.
Welcome to the show, Brian Houseworth. There's John Marsh, Stephanie Bell, producer Hannah. My name is Branden Rathert. Rick says we don't. As an Alabama fan, we don't take home goalposts. We take home trophies.
Ouch.
It's fun.
Ouch.
Not this time.
This time. Yeah.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Third, why is it fun to hate Alabama? I don't know why that.
Because we're all jealous because they win all the time.
It's like we love to hate Tom Brady. Because of his 7 Super Bowl rings.
And now his pickleball team.
His pickleball team. Another listener says, Quentin says, I think Mizzou's goalposts have a hydraulic cylinder to let them down. I don't know if that's accurate or not.
Yeah, someone was saying that they were on the security, and their whole role was to just hold the line long enough to let them lower the goal. Like, they would just lower them because they knew they were coming down anyway for people's safety. That's interesting.
Homecoming weekend. This weekend, as a matter of fact, Stephanie Bell and I are going to be downtown, and we're going to be, I think it's 8th and Broadway or something like that, 9th and Broadway. We're going to be emceeing the parade. Excited to be asked to be a part of that again this year. And I love Brian Houseworth's comment. It's probably environmentalist students who threw the goalpost. Make a reef. It's a reef. It'll turn into a reef in a few years, not in fresh water. It won't. It was interesting. Obama over the weekend. Obviously, that's the name you want speaking for you whenever it comes to campaigning. You know who the most sought after Democrat is right now? It's not Obama. It's Obama, but besides Obama, because we've seen people like Mark Kelly in Arizona, Stacey Abrams. We've seen Democrats all across the country. Joe's like, well, I'll come there and campaign for you. And they're like,
no, thank you.
I'm good, Joe. So the person that requests, I would guess Kamala Harris. That's what I guess. I would be wrong.
No, she's not doing much better, but Pete Buttigieg. And it's interesting because on the opposite side of the aisle, it's Pence that people are really requesting. So do they both fall in the same category as kind of like vanilla? Like they're not, because right now so many people are basically a lightning rod for one group or the other. And so they're just kind of middle of the road, like, hey, I got someone high profile, but they're probably not going to say anything too stupid.
They're not going to get quoted Monday morning on Fox or on MSNBC because they're not going to say anything that, is a flashpoint.
But they're also not flashy enough to, like, draw protesters or, you know what I mean? And so is that really who you want? I mean, can you see Pete Buttigieg getting people, like, fired up?
No.
Or Mike Pence, for that matter?
No.
I've seen Mike Pence speak in person at CPAC, and actually it was better than I expected, but I think maybe because my expectations were so low after seeing Trump.
Somebody told me once when it came to dating, he said, Branden, he said, you got to broaden your horizons. I said, see, when I hear that, it sounds like you're saying lower your expectations.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that's where people are. That's where we are right now, I guess, that they just need someone to do the job and...
But that's an interesting question. So you get these people are requesting Mike Pence, and people are requesting Pete Buttigieg. not firecrackers by any stretch of the imagination. Not a lot of excitement there, but maybe is that what everybody on both sides are looking for? Like, listen, the gender stuff and the equity stuff, we don't want that on the far left, and the election 2020, we don't want that either on the far right. We want reasonable people. I wonder if that's the thought process here on both sides.
Maybe. I wonder how it's going to affect turnout. You know, we had such low turnout for the primaries, and there was this new poll out that said the Nork Center of Public Affairs Research said that 71% of registered voters feel like the U.S. is at stake in this year's election. And so, I mean, I want to be fired up and excited about who I'm voting for. I don't want just the vanilla person. I mean, that's what was exciting about when Trump was running and when we were really excited to get out there and vote for him. And and so they're saying, because people feel like the U.S. is at stake, maybe turnout will be really high in November. But what we saw in August, we didn't see it. So I wonder, are people just over it too? I mean, is that it? I'm just going to stay home.
And the thing is, and I don't know, and hopefully this, the realities, because these people, they don't need to argue on the TV against each other, the Republicans, and I don't even mean the politicians, but just when it comes to voting, because facts can win right now, and the facts really, it's the economy, really. I mean, is there anything else right now? Is there any other issue that affects every single person in this country? Is there any other issue that has a negative impact on everybody else? And I think that's an easy no, there isn't. It is the economy. Who knows how to handle the economy? And without a doubt, also something you can't dispute, it's Republicans. Democrats don't know what they're doing with that at all. And that's nothing. There's no disputing that. But then does it translate into votes at the polls? And I'll go to what you were saying about everybody was talking about Eric Greitens in the primary and the Senate race here in Missouri, and everybody in Boone County, 1 out of 5 voters showed up. I think in Cole County it was a little bit better, almost 1 out of 4. Everybody's talking about it, but
are people going to get to the polls? Well, this article was saying that in Michigan, 150,000 people had already cast absentee ballots, and 1.6 million people had requested, which is already above the 1.16 who requested in the 2018 midterm election. So based on actual facts and data, they are saying people are getting out to vote more than in the past. Whether that will be true here in Missouri, I don't know. I do think the 2-week no excuse absentee might bring some people out early, but whether or not overall turnout will be up, are you ready to place a bet?
On
turnout yet?
For the general?
Yeah.
For Missouri or the nation?
For Missouri.
Let's talk about that. Marsh, you got anything for leftovers? All right, we'll do that 5 minutes from now here on Wake Up.
Here's a big old serving of leftovers. Enjoy.
All right, leftovers here on the show. Things that we didn't get an opportunity to get to during the show here on Wake Up Mid-Missouri on 93.9 The Eagle and 104.5 News Radio 950 KWOS. So we open up our fridge, and you know how it is. You open up the fridge at home looking for leftovers. Sometimes, hey, you hit the jackpot. Sometimes you don't. One of the things we didn't get to this morning, apparently, so the latest thing that has some folks triggered is... and this is something all of us see all the time. If I knew how to find it when I'm texting, when I send out text people, I can't. All I can find on my phone for emojis are the smiley faces. It's the only emojis I can find.
And then sometimes you accidentally send Wake Up family members kissy faces.
Nuh-uh.
Yes.
Really?
Yes. You sent a dude a kissy face the other day, and I wondered if you meant to do that.
Who was it?
Sean. Yeah.
Sean,
one
who?
of our Wake Up family members.
Oh, on the texter at 874-9390.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking personal text. But thumbs up.
That's offensive?
That's offensive.
I can see like a thumbs down, like,
It seems this is according to folks on Reddit turned into a big conversation. Is anybody unsettled by the thumbs up reaction? Because it seems a bit hostile to me. It's saying, I don't really care. I'm not interested. I don't see it, but I'm a 51-year-old fuddy-duddy.
I feel like the guy who wrote to the Jeff City News Tribune about the billboard is also unsettled by a thumbs up. I feel like that's kind of the same lane.
There's a guy who wrote a letter to the editor, Jefferson City News Tribune. There's a billboard you may have seen. I think it's on 50 Marsh. Is that where it is? Yeah, so right there, thousands of people seeing this billboard every day. It says, I am an atheist and I vote. Wrote a letter to the editor in the Jefferson City News Tribune and spent some time asking what's the point of that billboard. Now, it's an interesting billboard, and I also think it's interesting that somebody would take time to write to their local paper and saying, what's the point of this? And I'll harken it back to back in the day on the news channels. You'd call a 1-800 number and pay $1.50 to vote yes or no. And some of them would even have the I don't know option, which meant somebody spent $1.50 to call the national news TV and say,
I don't know. That's hilarious.
Did that Marsh? You got anything for leftovers? Yeah. And that would be an area, I think that's kind of where, not that he's from there now, but like where Halsworth grew up. Kind of. That sounds like I was trying to make a point, Steph, and I wasn't.
Uh-huh.
What do you got? What's in your fridge?
Well, they opened the portal for student loan forgiveness this weekend. Hannah, did you fill it out yet?
No, I didn't get the email that it was open.
Well, they didn't tell people. People found out because they didn't want everyone rushing and crashing the website.
What
apparently.
the heck?
But it did open this weekend, and apparently it's like a one-pager, and you just get free money. So maybe I'll go on there and fill it out and see if I get any money back.
I went out of my way to sign up for this dang email that would let me know when the application was open, and I didn't even get it.
It's open, and I guess also on that front, if you got an extension on your federal taxes, today is the deadline, I think, to get those things turned in. So. Oh, really? Okay.
So. For our hurricane victims in the Lynn and Centralia areas, she got some time.
Importantly, too, today's also the Ethics Commission website, so we should have more fundraising numbers later this week as we go into November.
That'll be exciting. Guess what? The Gary Nolan Show is my dad's favorite show. Gary Nolan Show coming up just a few minutes from now here on the radio station. See ya.
Bye.